one water cooling system comes with different backplates, one for Intel and the other one for AMD. Other than that, you will have LGA adapter screws as well as fixing bolts. Since LGA 2011 CPU front plates come pre-installed with compatible water cooling head blocks, we will have no use for the provided backplates. The first step here is to prepare the CPU front plate and screw in the LGA adapter provided by the water cooling supplier. When screwing in the adapters in the front plate, just make sure not to over tight it. Finger tight is quite enough. Alright, so this is our beast. So basically what we have here is a water pump on one hand and a 120mm radiator. On the other side, two 120mm high pressure fans, and of course a bunch of screws and rings, our power cable for the water pump, and a screwdriver. Keep in mind that the cooling liquid is already pre-filled and sealed in the radiator and water pump. So the only thing we are going to focus on right now is to assemble our first 120mm high pressure fan on our 120mm radiator. The radiator will be cooled through a push-pull fan configuration, meaning that both of our fans will have to blow air in the same direction. So in our case, make sure that the fan manufacturer logo faces you. Only thing left to be done is to secure the fan onto the radiator using 4 long screws and their corresponding rings. So here is a tricky part. Our 120mm radiator will be placed and mounted on the exhausting part of our casing. And that means that we first have to remove the existing exhausting fan. And I am sure that you already know what I'm gonna say, but our two 120mm fans will act as an exhaust, simply meaning that they are going to evacuate the hot air outside of our case. Alright, so now we are going to put in place the second fan that we did not assemble onto the radiator, and we're just gonna use the long screws to keep it into place. And when you put the fan in place, we want to make sure that the chassis faces you. That will make sure that both fans blow air in the same direction. And now we are going to grab our 120mm radiator and ever gently align it with the fan we just put in place. Finally, simply screw in together the exhausting fan and the back of the radiator. Take your time. I know this is delicate. You do not want to screw directly inside the radiator and find yourself with an irreparable leak. So again, take your time. Alright, last step of this video. We are going to secure the water pump / water block onto the LGA 2011 front plate. As you remember, in the very first stage of this video, we did install the screw adapters. Now we are simply going to fit in the water pump directly onto them. First, make sure to remove the plastic protection shield out of the water block. Worth noting, the manufacturer has already applied a thin layer of thermal compound. So basically we can just go ahead and assemble the water block / pump onto our CPU front plate. Make sure to align the water block bracket and the LGA screw adapters, make them slide in, and secure the hole with the provided bolts. As you tighten them, you want to make sure that an equal pressure is applied on every corner of the CPU front plate. That will ensure that there is a complete adherence between the CPU thermal shield and the copper plate of our water block.